this today's topic in 1 hour's time. I have divided the whole presentation in two parts. The first part will have citation and referencing. That citation and referencing will be seeing what is citation, how to do citation, what are the various systems of citation available, what are the patterns, and what are the various referencing styles we have, and how to follow all that, and what are all the open source tools which will help us to do the referencing. So that is the first part. Second part, we will be looking into about the plagiarism. How can we avoid plagiarism? Generally, how we do plagiarism, sometimes many times without knowing that it is plagiarism. So by knowing various forms, we will come to know how can we avoid plagiarism, and in reality, what is the way through which we can avoid plagiarism. So that ways out. And also there are some open source tools which will help us while writing, or after writing, we can check whether we have written the original report. So this will be the focus of this 1 hour or so. So coming to the first part of the session, citation. So you have seen how to write a paper for a scholarly journal for all these 2-3 days. So we have started. You have learned that, and you are going to start your paper to publish in a journal, in a scholarly journal. So when you start writing your paper, or when you convert your research into a paper for publishing, when you need to follow the citation in your paper. Without citation, it cannot be considered as a scholarly paper, right? So that is the difference. Probably if you have any those who are in the beginning of your research, or you have some research scholars, I just want to point out the difference between the scholarly paper or the paper when you generally write for any magazine. When we write to any magazine, or when we write any piece of work, even for a newspaper, or for just for some blog or something, you need not cite anybody. You can write your own opinion on your own perspective. But when you want to make it as a scholarly paper, it has to be it has to have the citation of various previous authors, previous researchers. Then only your paper will be considered by the peer reviewers, and it will be considered as a scholarly paper. So in that case, the citation is very, very important. And where we cite others' work in our work, when we are writing from the introduction till the conclusion, where are we going to bring other authors in our work? There are two places. One is citing others' work in the body of our writing, that is the main text of our work. That is called in-text citation. So wherever you bring others in your writing, either in the form of definition, or in the form of quotation, or you write it in your own words, other ideas in your own words, whatever form it can be. But if you bring other authors or researchers into your writing, that is called in-text citation. Then the second place where you're going to mention others' work, that is in your reference, in your list of reference, or in your list of bibliography. Again, to some of the beginners, and I have seen people using this reference and bibliography like interchangeably. Many think that both reference and bibliography are same. So I just give a small clarity on that and move on. We refer lots of books, journal articles, and other stuff for our work when we do our research, when we write our report. But we may not quote all that in our in-text, that is inside our report. So if we read lots of authors, lots of researchers, but we gain knowledge from those sources, but we may not use them in our work. But whatever we have read through for that particular work, all those works will come under bibliography. So you may refer some 50 authors or 50 books for your research. All those 50 work will come under the heading bibliography. But Out of those 50, you could have referred only some 20 or 30 authors inside your report. Okay, so only those 20 or 30, whatever you have used, only those authors will come under the list of reference. Okay, so that is the difference. You may have bibliography or not, but this depends upon you or your guide or the journal where you're going to publish. But you can't write a scholarly paper without list of reference. Okay. Then I said to write a scholarly paper, we need to have in-text citation. Why we need to have in-text citation? Because there are certain reasons. You will understand by going through all this. Why are we quoting others' work inside our work? One reason is we to refer to a leading author or a researcher in the subject in which we are writing the paper or doing our research. So without referring a researcher, a leading researcher or leading author on our topic, we cannot write a scholarly paper. Then to illustrate or support an argument made, you have an argument in your paper. You have to support that argument with the help of the previous authors or researcher. The previous author has said that, or the previous research has found that, so my argument is right. So you have to bring in to support your argument the earlier researchers. Then you have lots of facts to be presented. All those facts, it is true, it is a fact, but you can't say on your own. You should show, you should give a proper citation from where you have taken that fact or data. Suppose you want to say 23% of people are coming into higher education in India. You can't say it on your own. The data might be a right one, but you can't say on your own. You have to bring in the source from Census of India or NSSO survey or whatever it is. You have to say that from there you have taken that data. Then to extend or challenge the previous studies, you are taking a study and that study has been done by someone else already to up to certain level. You are extending it. So when you extend it, you have to say that is the previous study. You have to quote that inside your paper, and from there you are extending your study. So that is also one of the reasons. Then allowing accuracy of the work to be checked. Whatever you say in your work, to show that you also have the accuracy, you have to quote the previous work and you have to justify that. Then comparing, contrasting, and evaluating others' work. So you can either compare or you can even differ from the previous work of the authors in the same field, or you can evaluate the previous author's work in your work through your research. So whatever reason it is, all these reasons are very, very important. Because of these reasons, we are quoting various authors in our writing. So when we quote others, authors or researchers in our work, what is the way we generally follow? There are some methods. It's called like Harvard system of citation, numerical system, footnote, or endnote. The name may be very technical, but you all must be following either of these patterns, I'm sure. I just tell you what is Harvard system says. Harvard system says you can bring the author's name along with year of publication inside your text, inside your writing. For example, if you want to quote some research methodology topic like research design or something you want to quote when you write your methodology part, you can say research design is so and so according to Kothari 2012, or according to Kothari, what is research design? You can mention in that way also. Whatever it is, both the name, that is the second name of the author, along with year of publication should come into the in text. Accordingly, the list of reference should have the Kothari's name along with other bibliographical details. Bibliographical detail, when I say it includes author, title of the work, then publication, page number, year, and all that. So all these details are called bibliographical details. So all these details will come correspondingly to list of reference. There is another system called numerical system. You could have seen this in some of the journals, but I would say that this is not widely used system because it has some disadvantages too. When you write, when you quote others' work inside your work, according for each author, you have to assign a number. So, if, for example, when you cite one author, first time, first number one will be used within bracket. You will not use author's name or year of publication, anything. But correspondingly, this one will have the author's full details in the list of reference. Likewise, when you use the second author in your next chapter or next page, you will be using number 2 and you will be mentioning what that author has said. Again, you will not use the author's name here. But the disadvantage in this system is when you want to keep update your paper by adding some authors or by deleting some authors, you will find it difficult because every time you need to change the numbers from 1 till end. So that will be a very big problem for you. So this is not very widely used, but still some journals are particularly following this. So I just want to tell you what it is available. Then the next system is footnote or endnote. Here, suppose you want to give some additional material to your readers, the readers who are going to read your paper, or you want to highlight certain portion by giving some reference there itself so that you feel that your readers will not miss that. So in those situations, you can use this pattern by giving either footnote or endnote. Footnote is giving in the same page below bottom of the page. You can mention that reference. Endnote is giving at the end of the chapter. So either way you can use, but this is the situation. Suppose you want to bring certain things to the attention of the readers, you can use this pattern. Otherwise, we will go for this Harvard system in general and widely it is used. And what is the pattern through which we bring others' work inside our work? So I want to bring certain authors writing in my work. And what is the pattern? How I bring their ideas into my work? One is this summary. Summarizing others' ideas in one's own words, that is in my own word. I read what the other author has said or the other researcher has said, and I write it in my own words. I summarize it and I write it in my own words. So that is summarizing it. Another one is generalization. You are reading some few authors on a particular topic, and you found that all of them have said the similar ideas. So you are generalizing that and you are going to make a statement along with all the author's name within bracket. Okay. So when you write one author's name and summarize it and present it, it is summary. When you read few authors and bring all their ideas together as a common statement and bring all those authors' name within bracket, and then it is called generalization. So these are all the two ways. Here I have given just to one author. What he said is given as a summary. And the generalization, see here, when some 2-3 authors you want to quote, you can bring all the authors, whatever they have said, and bring that all those authors together in bracket and say that is the generalization part. There is also another method, it is called quotation, right? We generally use some quotation in our writing, but there is a procedure even here. Suppose if you use a quotation which is less than 40 words, then you can use all those words within double inverted quotes. That is called short quotation. So suppose you want to bring the exact words of the authors, you don't want to rewrite it in your own words, bring it as a quotation if it is less than 40 words. Suppose if you are bringing more words from others' work, it goes beyond 40 words, then you should make it as a long quotation by giving them in your report with by leaving 5 spaces from the left margin. You have to indent 5 spaces from the left margin and it has to start as a separate paragraph in your report. See the example here. For the short quotation, according to Jones, 1998, this short quotation is given here because it is less than 40 words. It is given in double inverted quotes. Suppose if it is a long quotation, more than 40 words, it should be given 5-space indented margin from the left, and it should be given as a separate paragraph so that when a reader reads this, the reader will understand that it is not your own words, it is a quotation, you have taken it from someone else. So for that indication, we are following this method. But whatever short quotation or long quotation you use it, you have to mention the author. From whose words are these? So that is very, very important. Then when we come to different referencing styles, we have number of styles. You all must be aware of it. This American Psychological Association, APA, is again very widely used format. And this Modern Language Association, this is also widely used in certain disciplines like humanities. Chicago, Turabian, or certain other styles which are used by certain journals. Even some journals, they specifically use certain patterns. So as an author, as a person who is going to submit your manuscript, you need to read the author's guidelines in each journal. I'm sure all of you would have noticed that. So when you want to submit a paper to a particular journal, the foremost important thing is you have to read the author's guidelines of that particular journal. So the journal guidelines will tell you in what format you have to submit your reference. So based on that, you have to convert your referencing style and you have to submit your paper. Because you would have tried your paper submitting to a journal which has asked you to follow APA style. So your paper are in references are in APA style. Suppose if you are trying to some other journal which asks you to write it in Chicago style, then you have to convert the whole thing into Chicago format and then submit. Otherwise, your paper will definitely be sent back. Okay. So let us see what is the important things to be noted down when we follow certain things. And as I said, among these styles, this American Psychological Association is a very widely used and popular referencing style. So let me go with only that particular style because we will not be able to talk about the entire list of styles. That will be very voluminous and of course it will be boring also. So I don't want to make that blunder here. So when we talk about this APA style, and when we talk about in-text citation, so what is the way? We are paraphrasing, writing in our own words. And when we quote authors in our work, what is the way? When suppose if you are paraphrasing it, then give the author's name, that is second name of the author, along with year of publication in the bracket. Suppose you are using the quotation method, you are using the exact words, then you have to use author's name along with year of publication and page number. Okay, so you can't leave this page number when you use quotation. So this is the way you have to do for the in-text citation according to APA latest edition, which was published in 2019. Then you are using a work in your in-text which is written by two authors. So what is the way you state whatever that those authors have said in your own words? And when you mention those authors' name, suppose if you don't mention them within bracket, you can say that research by Wegner and Petty within bracket year of publication, or you are going to say whatever the author has said or those authors have said, and bringing the author's name within bracket, then you can't use the word and, you have to use the ampersand symbol here instead of and. So this is the way to write two authors' names within in-text, that is in-text citation. According to this APA latest edition, what they say, if the work has more than two authors, you need not write all the authors' name. Suppose you are referring an article which has 3 authors, you need not write 3 authors' name. Instead, you write first author's name and say it et al, ETAL, and then give year of publication. Previously, we write up to 6 authors. If it goes beyond 6 only, we write this method. But the latest edition says you can write this pattern even for 3 authors. If it goes more than 2 authors, then you can follow this pattern. Okay. Yeah. And suppose if a book, you're writing a book, you're taking the excerpts of a book which does not have an author. In that case, you can use the title of the book as you can consider the title of the book as an author, and you can mention the title here along with year of publication. Then sometimes a book is published by an organization or association or some government agency which may not have one particular author or editor. So in that case, you can consider that organization name as a title, like a title. According to American Psychological Association, and you can state whatever you want to state. So far we have seen the citation pattern. What is the pattern? What is the method? All that. So what is the reference format according to APA style? Suppose that this APA style is giving different method for each source. Suppose if it is a book, how it has to be done. If it is a journal article, how it has to be done. There is for each and everything. If it is an encyclopedia, what is the pattern to be right? Suppose you are referring a dictionary, what is the pattern? So for each and everything, there is a different pattern. So let us not worry about too many sources here. I would like to highlight certain important sources we generally use for our work. More than that, if you come across any of these resources, you need not worry. I will talk about certain open sources which are available online, which will help you ready-made to give you the list of references, the pattern of references. So you can rely on those open source tools and you can bring the referencing pattern in no minute. See this, just to understand for certain important sources. One is this book. Suppose if a book has 2 authors, what is the way we have to write the reference? You have to bring second author of the first name, then the initial or the first name, then the second of the second name of the second author along with the initials. Then year of publication should come in brackets. Then there should be a full stop. Then the title of the book should be in italic form. Then the name of the publisher. Previously, we write even the place of the publication, but the latest APA edition says we need not write the place of publication. So you can stop with the name of the publisher, but the title should be in italic form. So this is the proper referencing style according to APA for a book, if a book has 2 authors. Suppose if a book has an editor, but it does not have an author. So what do we do? Then the editor's name has to have to be given the same way as we give the author's names, but we have to mention as editors here, EDS within bracket, so that will indicate that they are editors, not authors. Then the rest are same as we gave for the book which has authors. But don't forget, we have to give the title in italic form. Then a book has editor and author both. So how are we going to bring them inside when we write our reference? Write the author's name first, the way it has to be written, then give year of publication, then the title should be in italic form, then bring the editor's name within bracket and mention that editor. So you are bringing both author and editor, suppose if the book has both of them. And if you are writing a chapter from a book which has different different author for the book, and for each chapter there is a different author, but on the whole there is an editor for the book. Suppose if you come across such a source, what do? Either you are going to give the author of the chapter which you are referring, or the editor of the whole book you referred. So that confusion will definitely arise when we cite such a reference work. For that, the method is you have to give the author of the paper which you are writing. So suppose if you are taking 4th chapter which has a different author from that book, so you are giving that author's name, then the title of the 4th chapter should be given, in which book you are taking from, then give the editor of the whole book, then say they are the editors, then give the title of the whole book, which is given for the overall content of the book. Then the edition, public page number and all that, then it is usual one, then the place name of the publisher should be given. So this is the difference between the book which has authors, which has editor or no editor, or which has both editors and authors. So please, you can refer this PowerPoint also whenever you get some doubt, or you can go online and use those tools. Then coming to journal articles, there are journal articles, there are magazine articles, there are newspaper articles. The difference here is we will be mostly the same, but when we use the journal article, we'll be using DOI, this digital object identifier. I'm sure all of you would have noticed that whenever you refer some journal article, so you should note down whenever you read any journal article, this digital object identifier. Suppose if the journal does not have this DOI, then you have to give the URL of the journal. The URL, you should go to the home page of the journal. You should not take it from the database. Say, for example, you are referring an article which is published in the Scopus. You are reading an article or referring to an article in Scopus or Elsevier or any database. You should not give the Elsevier or Scopus URL. You have to go to that particular journal's homepage and find its URL, and then you have to give it here. Okay. And here the pattern is who is the author of the article, that should be given here along with year of publication. Then title of the article, what you are referring. Then title of the journal, from which journal you have taken that article. The title of the journal should be in italic form. Okay. Then volume number, issue number should be mentioned, and year of page numbers of that particular author article should also be given. So this is the pattern to be followed to write the reference of a journal article. Suppose if it is a magazine article, you have to give even the month or week issues. So whatever issue number they have, that has to be given along with month date wise also. If it is a newspaper, it is a daily, so we have to give the date also along with column number. From even if it is first page, which column the news item appeared. So that should also be mentioned. So these are all the major difference between these three kind of articles. Then I would like to point out one important thing here. When you are referring, we generally, all of us get this doubt. When we are referring one particular work, we come across that particular author has mentioned about some other author in his or her work, right? So we get a doubt whether we give that original author or the author whom we are reading. So that doubt we always get. Here what we have to do, for example, you are reading Kothari's research methodology book. In that, we have read about, Kothari has mentioned about Wilkinson in his book. So we want to quote that in our work. Wilkinson, what Wilkinson has said, that has to be mentioned in my work. So I get a doubt whether I'm going to use Wilkinson or Kothari in my reference. The thing is, when you quote it inside your text, you have to mention Wilkinson's name because it is Wilkinson's idea. At the same time, you are not reading Wilkinson, so you say that as cited in Kothari, year of publication. Same thing when you quote in the reference, when you bring it in the reference, you have to mention only Kothari's work, not Wilkinson, because we are not reading Wilkinson. Okay, so we are attributing to Wilkinson. At the same time, we are writing Kothari's work because we are reading that. Then the footnote and endnote, I told you it is to give some supplementary material, and it is given at the bottom of the page or end of the chapter. Then there are some softwares to find out what is the referencing style, how to be followed and all that. Like EndNote, Reference Manager, ProCite, all these softwares are available in the market. It's all commercial, so I'm not going to talk about it. But there are certain tools in our hand. Even our MS Office, if you open a Word file, I don't know how many of you have already used it, But this references, if you click on the toolbar, you will be able to get the citation pattern and referencing pattern. So click this reference and insert citation. Then suppose you want to find out a referencing style for one particular news source, click the news source, and whatever format you want to use, you can choose that. If you click this drop box, you will be given different referencing style, whether it is APA, MBA, MLA, and all that. So whatever style you want, you can select that from here. One second. You can select from here, and then when you say new source, this box will appear. Suppose you want to write the format for a book, you click the book, and this box will ask you to feed the details. You have to feed the details of that particular book, like author, title, year, city, publisher, and all that, and say okay. Then see, choose this APA format. I have given the details of one particular book, just as an example. Then I say okay. See, this book, suppose it has to be used as in-text citation. This is the format, and to mention it in the reference, this is the format. So I can simply copy and paste this reference in my list of references. So you can use all these sources, whether it is a book, whether it is a journal article. If you click the journal article, again there will be a different box will appear that will ask you to write, like you have to give the article name, journal name, issue number, volume number, all that you have to feed, because it can't understand on its own. If you give all that, the format will be arranged by MS Office for you. So it will be an easy work for you. You need not know whether the author should come first or the title should come first, or when the name of the publisher should come. All that you need not know. If you fill the box and if you ask MS Office to do it, it will do for you. So like MS Office, there are other tools which are available online. One is this Bibby and Citation Machine, CiteFast, Scribr, Mendeley, and Zotero. These are all the very important tools for citation and even for our research, I can say. This CiteFast is a site. You can go there, citefast.com. And again, see, you can choose whether it is a web page, it is a book, or it is a journal article, or whatever you have to write the reference format, you can choose that. And you can also choose the referencing style according to the requirement you have. APA 7th edition, 6th edition, or MLA 8th edition, or Chicago. So this will be very useful, especially when you submit a paper for public publishing. So suppose you have a different format, you want to convert the whole thing into some other format, you can go use this tool and you can convert it in the way you want it. And here, once you choose if it is a book, and you have to give any information about the book in this box, either title or the author's name along with title, or even the ISBN. If you give, then the tool will give us. So when I type this ISBN number, see, this page has brought the title and other details of this particular book. This particular book is Wings of Fire of Abdul Kalam, and even the publication name, year of publication, all that has been brought out by this tool. This CiteFast has brought for me. So I can simply copy this site referencing pattern, and I can copy in my list of references. So I have this ISBN number. I use this book in my writing. So I want the reference pattern for this book. So this tool has helped me to bring out the pattern of reference. So I can simply copy and paste under my list of references. Likewise, this Scribr will also help you. Here also you can choose website, it is a journal article, book, or whatever it is. So you can choose any source, whatever you have, and you can see, I have just given, taken an example of DOI. So I have referred an article which has a DOI. I need not write the whole article details, like who's the author, title. I just type the DOI and I enter. See, the web page has brought, with the help of DOI, the web page has brought out the rest of the details. What is the author's name? What is the title? All those have been brought out by the web page, website itself. Then finally it has given the referencing pattern. So this DOI when I gave, it is for this particular article from Electronic Library Journal. So I can, it has arranged in the way it has to be arranged. This web page has arranged for me. So I can simply copy this and paste it under my list of references. Very good. So this Mendeley is such a great tool for researchers because it not only helps us to do the citation, it gives us lots of other facilities and benefits. Like we can even know about the funding details, we know about the job opportunities available across the world, and we can make it as our own publications can be displayed over there. So we will get more of our research visibility, and we can also store certain journal articles we are referring for our research or for particular field of publication. So we can, whatever journal articles we read or we want to read in later in future, we can download all those articles in our Mendeley account. We can download this Mendeley account. It is freely available. It is by Elsevier publication. So we can create an account for ourselves and we can download articles in that. And wherever we go, we can open our Mendeley account. We can start reading our papers which are stored in Mendeley account. So this will be a very useful one. You can browse through when you get your time. So apart from other tools, the other tools are like the SiteFast and BibMe and all. It's just you go to the site and get the work done. This Mendeley alone, you have to download it in your laptop or in your system. So that's it about the citation and referencing. Let us move on to the second part, that is avoiding plagiarism. I'm sure all of you, because all of you are in academic setup, so I need not tell what is plagiarism. We all are, the recent past, we are listening to this particular word plagiarism a lot. Excuse me. And the government of India, that is Ministry of HRD, they have brought a very serious step in avoiding plagiarism, and this research ethics lot is to be followed and all that. So we are very much aware, but still, because of certain areas in which we are not aware that it is plagiarism, we are tend to do this plagiarism. One is this, we'll start with the Webster's simple dictionary definition. The act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person. So this, by going with this definition, I can interpret saying that when I give credit to that person, if I use the same word or similar word, does it mean it is plagiarism or not? So I feel there is a small ambiguity in this definition. So to move on to a more clear one, this author, this Diana Ridley, says that the use of same or similar words from the original text, even if the source author is acknowledged, it is plagiarism. So here we get the indication. If you use same word or similar word of the author has used, even if you acknowledge the source, it is plagiarism. So what do we do? Here we come to talk about writing in our own words. Okay? So when you write your report, you cannot use the same words or similar words of the previous author. That is the key we have to take care when we want to avoid plagiarism. So what are all the forms generally through which we make plagiarism? If we know that, probably we'll become more cautious when we write and we will avoid plagiarism. So one form is this presenting someone else's work as our own work, or copying words or ideas from someone else without giving credit to the source. So if we don't give credit and if we copy, that is very clear. That is plagiarism, right? Then failing to put quotation marks in a quotation. So you are using the exact words. You want to retain it as a quotation. So you are using the exact words. By mistake, if you don't put the quotation marks, it is considered as plagiarism. Okay. So that is the reason we have seen the citation and referencing in little detail. So that is very, very important to avoid plagiarism. Then giving incorrect information about or falsifying the source of a quotation or reference. So you are giving incorrect information, or you are giving not the full reference. Even that will be considered as plagiarism. Changing words but copying the structure of a source without giving credit. I have seen this kind of plagiarism a lot. I've observed many times, because people many think that people are not trained properly how to paraphrase it, how to write it in our own words. So they think that if we change words here and there, or if we use synonyms here and there, and we retain that need not to be considered as plagiarism. That is again wrong. We have to rewrite it entirely in our own words without even following the structure of the original author's statement. Okay, so even the structure should not be followed. It should be entirely rewritten in your own words. Then only it will be considered as it will not be considered as plagiarism. Then copying many paragraphs or ideas from a source that it makes up the majority of your work, whether you give credit or not. So when we write, we are giving due credit. At the same time, we are paraphrasing it, but still there is a limit for that. Our entire paper should not have, the majority of our entire paper should not have others' work. It should have our own writing, our own ideas, our own knowledge. Then only it will be considered as a original report. I hope I made it clear, especially the last point. So I want to write an original paper report. How do I write? One is I have to write it, I have to paraphrase it, and I have to cite the source when I write. Then I can summarize the previous works and write it, or I can use the quotation method. This paraphrasing and summarizing is not a very big difference there are between these two methods. Both are somewhat similar, but in both the methods you will be writing in your own words. Okay, but the difference is, and when you want to paraphrase others' work in your work, the situation you want to make the others' ideas or statements more clearly or more precisely in your work in your own words. Okay, you feel that the previous author, the researcher, what they have said is not very clear. That will not be conveyed very clearly to the author, to your reader, probably, and you want to make it more clear or more precise. Then you rewrite it in your own words according to the level of your reader or the level of your audience. Okay, so that is the way, or that is the reason you're going to paraphrase others' work in your own words. Or when you want to give thrust to author's ideas in your own statements, the author has said some statement that is very important statement, and you want to present that statement in your own words in a more meaningful way, or in a more powerful way. Then you write it in your own words. So these are all the reasons for which you paraphrase others' work, and when you want to avoid too many quotations. So these are all the three situations. Because of that, you are paraphrasing your others' writing statements in your own statements. And when you want to use quotation, so I know where I have to use paraphrasing method, and when I'm going to use the quotation method, when you don't want to miss the power of the authors, of words of the authors. Say, for example, I have given Martin Luther King's statement. Since it is long quotation, I have given it as a separate paragraph, and I have used the exact words because I can't write more powerful than Martin Luther King. So I have used exact words and I have given the credit to him. So this is the situation. I use the exact quotation. So even your own research, your own previous researcher or the leading authors in your field, you want to give their statements, and you feel that that is a very powerful statement, very important statement. You don't want to miss out the power of those words. Then it is better give exact words as quotation. Don't try to paraphrase it. So what is paraphrasing? Rephrasing or restating the information from another source in your own words by changing the structure of the sentence, but without changing the meaning. So without changing the meaning, but you have to change the structure of the sentence and you have to write it in your own words, and it should be shorter than the original passage. The original passage, say if it is a paragraph you are taking and you are writing in your own words, you are reading the entire paragraph and you are going to rewrite it in your own words, but in a shorter way. That is paraphrasing. Summarizing it, you are not going to entirely rewrite the whole paragraph. You just take the summary, what the essence of that particular paragraph. That alone you rewrite it in your own words. But again, it is much more shorter version than the original version, and give the original credit, the source to the original author. So this is summarizing, but both in paraphrasing and summarizing, you will be writing in your own words. As an example. Then even to check whenever you write your paper, whether you have written it originally or by mistake you have done some plagiarism in your paper. If you want to find out that, there are certain tools available. One simple tool you can check with Google or Google Scholar itself. Wherever you have the doubt from your writing, you can copy that particular portion and you can check it in Google or Google Scholar. If it is plagiarized, those websites will tell you this has been taken from this particular source. But if you're not able to find out from that source, there are other softwares. Like there are some commercial software like this Authenticate, Turnitin, Urkun. I don't know whether you have access to these commercial software. If you have, then that will be great. Because when you try to publish in journals, scholarly journals, they will definitely go through your paper with these software. And the software will tell the percentage of originality. So based on that, the publisher will accept or reject our paper. But when we don't have access to all these commercial softwares, but still we want to check the originality of our paper, then we have certain open access tools like this plagiarism checker, paper rater, Scribbr, and so on. So you can check in any of these sites your writings, whether you have any plagiarism in your writing or what is the percentage of originality of your writing. One is this paperrater.com. Go to this site, and in this box, whatever portion of your writing you want to check, or you can split it into various portions like introduction and statement of problem and all that. You can copy and paste it here, and you can find out what is the originality. So when I tried with certain paragraphs, it says 100% original. So if it is plagiarized, suppose if it says only 80% original, then for the rest of the 20%, it will tell you from which source you have taken that. So you can go to the original source where it is showing, and then you can find out how you can rewrite your paragraph so that it will not be considered as plagiarism. Then again, you can check it in the same website, and whether you can check whether it's showing original report or not. Okay. So this is another tool. Here also it will tell you, I have checked with another paragraph, it shows 29% of plagiarism, and this 29% will tell you from where we have taken. We can go to that site and choose. So that's it about plagiarism. If we have time, I'll just talk about quickly about this copyright too, because copyright is a more serious issue. Violation of copyright is a more serious issue than plagiarism, because plagiarism is an ethical issue. Copyright is a legal issue too. So when we generally what is copyright says especially in the academic context, any person who does any one or all of the following without the permission of the owner of the work is infringing or violating copyright. What is that? When we are considered as we are violating the copyright, when we copy another person's work, or when we publish other person's work or other publishers' work, when we reproduce, when you issue copies, when you translate, when you perform, when you play, and so on. So when we do all these things without the permission of the original copyright holder, we will be, we can be sued under the Copyright Act. What is the Copyright Act? 1957 Indian Copyright Act says any literary work or even the musical work which has some copyright holder, if that holder does not give permission, then others are not eligible to do anything from that work. But we, from the academic front, we have a provision called fair use provision from the Copyright Act. That provision says, gives us some liberty or gives us some breathing space. For certain reasons, we can take certain portions of the copyright material. Say, for example, for academic research, for review, for critical study of a work, reporting in a newspaper or magazine, or reproducing for judiciary. So for these certain reasons, we can take a portion of a copyright material and we can use it. So only this fair use provision we are relying on and we are making use of it. But still, we should, in the academic field, we should know that we can't go beyond certain portion, because then we will be liable to be sued under this act. So when you want to use certain tables as it is, or when you want to use certain diagrams or pictures, images, so all that when you want to use, you have to get the permission. That's why when we use certain tools for our research also, we get the permission of the original author, and we use the tool. So all these things to be taken care when we want to use it. And this Creative Commons, this CC symbol you would have used in many journal articles and other things when you come across, especially in the online domain. This Creative Commons come to help us in a great way, because copyright material has lots of restriction. This Creative Commons is a non-profit organization in America. They came to rescue us by getting some relaxation from the copyright holders and give us the readers. So this, wherever you see this CC symbol, it means you can go there and you can check. It has some relaxation. Under each work, it will have a mention that the particular work can be copied a certain portion with due credit to the author. Suppose you want to use an image, and wherever you see the CC symbol, you can go there and check. That will give you an indication. Even without giving a credit, you can use that image. Likewise, for each one, they have different condition under the information or image. So based on that, you can use the information in your paper so that it will not be considered as violation of copyright. So that's it. I stop here. I think I made it understandable. So I just want to summarize it. The first parts, what we have seen, one is this citation and referencing, where we have to do citation, why we do citation in our work, and what is the pattern we follow when we do others citation in our work, and what is the referencing style, different styles available, and how to follow different referencing style for different sources of work, and what are all the tools available in the open access, and how to do referencing by using those tools. So that is the first part. And second part, we have seen about plagiarism. To avoid plagiarism, what is the way out? One is this paraphrasing, summarizing, and using the quotation method. By using these methods in our writing, how are we going to avoid plagiarism? That's the main focus of the second part. And we also saw a little about copyright.